So before we get into this topic, I have to tell you, viewers, it requires parental supervision. So wherever you are in the house, if the kids are in front of the TV, parents, guardians, make sure that you are right beside them. The opposition has made a push once again to redefine sexual intercourse in law to make the act of rape in Jamaica gender neutral. But a few members of our local religious community have rejected the motion. Reverend Bertram Gale is among the few who welcome the law, and he joins us now to discuss more. Morning, Rev.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I am good. Welcome to Smile Jamaica.
Rev,
how you do?
Gonna be controversial, you know.
How you do?
We're all right. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So I said in it that some of your colleagues are saying, but you're not one of them. What is your stance on the issue? Because I don't want to misquote you. And why are you taking that stance?
I believe that rape should be defined in a gender-neutral way. Okay. I think it allows for a greater equity in relation to those people who have been violated sexually. The legislation as it is has too many weak points. And I believe that we can fix that. We can fix that to make the law that we have more equitable and more just.
So this is a motion tabled in Parliament last week. Minister Hannah noted that under Jamaican law, it's only a man who can rape a woman. A man cannot experience rape, whether by a man or a woman. And according to Hannah, this is presenting a legislative dilemma, creating inequitable legal consequences surrounding how we treat with rape in Jamaica. And the quote attributed to her, it says, because our legal definitions have been unchanged for centuries, many boys and men who have been or are being raped and sexually abused by men and women continue to suffer in silence and do not come forward out of fear of being stigmatized or thrown in jail, even though they are victims. So the religious group Jamaica Coalition for a Healthy Society, the JCHC, who I think, a lot of folks would say perhaps this gentleman would have sided with, given the nature of the organization, staunchly opposed to the notion of gender-neutral rape, arguing that the country's law already has provisions for males who are physically violated to take legal action. Which provisions are those, Father?
The Offense Against the Person Act.
Okay, but you don't think that goes far enough?
No, it doesn't. For one, seeing that whatever can happen between a man and another man. And by the way, the current provision doesn't make it possible for a woman to rape another woman. You see? The focus tends to be men raping other men or women raping men, but the reality is that a woman cannot rape a woman in Jamaican law. So you have that issue relating to stigma of women who would want to go and report that I've been raped by another woman. So that is a reality that we have to consider.
That's actually something I've never given thought to. So there are many sides to this thing that we have not...
Plenty sides. And one of the issues is that rape, as it is defined, receives a penalty that is greater than the penalty for other offenses.
Correct.
See that those offenses are not considered rape. Technically, they're not considered to be sex in the real sense, seeing that sex is only the penetration of the vagina by a penis. So that is sort of defined in one way. It is only a man who can rape a woman cannot rape a man.
So that's actually one of the arguments of the JCHC. It says, of the view that Jamaica's laws, public policies and social order, quote, must continue to be rooted in biological reality and design and purpose in the natural order of the universe. You take issue with that?
Yes, I do. And even from, let's say, you're going to be a conservative, evangelical kind of person, not even in the scriptures you find a distinction between at least sexual relations between people of the same sex to be defined as not sex. It's still understood as sex, but it's with someone of the same sex. So I think it is out of desperation And seeing that the law, as we have it, sort of codifies a particular ideology that is held by persons, they want to keep that as best as possible. It is not possible to keep legislation in relation to sex out of marriage or any other heterosexual kind of sexual sin. But so far we have something in relation to sex between two men, or buggery, because it can be with man and woman. So the idea is to keep on the books anything that has to do with consensual anal sex. And because that is the case, we create all sorts of rules and laws to skirt around the issue, because we don't want to get rid of the pause, the stop, the prohibition in relation to consensual anal sex. So we do all sorts of things. And I think in the end, it affects the Jamaican, the average Jamaican.
It absolutely does. And it's interesting, that viewpoint, because to me, the church would want to support something that would protect its citizens and its members.
Definitely.
Because times have changed. And I'm sure from your own experience and counseling, you will see an increase in individuals who are facing this kind of assault and just know where to go. Is that one of the reasons why you are saying it's now time to change it?
Definitely. And even while I was growing up, one of the things that I realized is that, well, that disturbed me when I was growing up was, one, as, okay, this is PG, so in my community growing up, in Westmoreland, as soon as the girls use exhibition start bust breasts,
Correct.
they become a target. But it's also the reality for many boys growing up. As soon as they are perceived to begin the process of becoming man, they become the targets of women, at least in these communities.
Correct.
So, and we're afraid. People are afraid. As children, children are afraid to say, this is happening to me.
Because they deem it to be among the natural courses.
Precisely, and you are being socialized to respond to that, at least for the boys, in a positive way and not a negative one. So you have boys who grow up feeling violated, and they stand by certain ideas now because, hey, somebody did grow.
Correct.
I see women in a particular way because that's how they were introduced.
Initiated.
So
So you mentioned sex in the Bible not being distinguished, whether it was between man or woman, or...
Yes, broadly. No,
Right.
there's always going to be that a word given for someone who is in a, well, homosexuals was sort of introduced late in a few years ago.
Right.
But you have a description of, for example, in Leviticus it talks about laying with a man as you do a woman.
But what's the context? It's usually a pejorative context. Right?
Yes,
God
usually
is frowning on.
it's frowning on. But my point
Doesn't
there,
mean it doesn't exist.
it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And it doesn't mean that laying with a man as you would a woman is defined differently. It's the same thing. You are having sex with a man, you're having sex with a woman. As far as our law is concerned, you're not really having a sex with a man if you're a man.
Right. So that was my question. Is the context in the Bible is usually pejorative?
Definitely.
Is the JCHC extrapolating from that to say that's why we must even acknowledge it as something?
I think that is the case. And as I said, I think one of the problems is that you are not really being consistent with the text from which you are extrapolating.
How so?
Because that text defines or speaks of sleeping with a man, that is if you're a man, sleeping with a man, as having sex. As far as our law is concerned, you are not having sex. You're doing something else, it's called buggery.
Gotcha.
It's not sex. As far as it is defined, as say in Leviticus, you are having sex, but with someone of the same sex. You see the difference?
Ask you one more question before Harris have no more. Are you out on a lonely plank by yourself?
I don't think so.
Within the religious community?
I don't think so. I would like to think. No, I'm not. I'm not representing the Anglican Church officially here, but as an Anglican priest, I feel as if I am given the free rein, really, to express myself where this is concerned, and I think that sort of reflects the general view of many Anglicans. I've been called, sent messages since that article came out from many Anglicans who say, yes, we support you. So I don't think there is a very small number of people. There are a fair number of people out there in the religious community who believe that this is the case. And I represent them in an unofficial capacity.
Yeah.
So yes, yes.
Well, there are a lot of things that are happening in our society that we turn a blind eye, and the time has come for us to address many of those things and those traumas that our people have faced. And this is
Definitely.
one of the ways in which
Definitely.
it has to be addressed. So, he who hath an ear,
Let them hear.
let him.
He who hath a voice,
Let them speak.
let them speak.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Very important. Thank you, Rev.
Thank you for having me
Always
again.
love your outspokenness
Yes.
and your dedication to pushing against the grain, even though you may be judged.
I think that is what Jesus is for. He pushed against the grain. Hopefully it will not cost me what it cost him, his life.
Wow! Rev said that I'm laughing.
Well, he rose again. He rose again.
Amen.
Oh gosh, thank you very much, Reverend Bertram Gale.
Thank you,
Here
thank
with us
you,
this
thank
morning.
you.
After the break, we speak with United States-based attorney Dawn J. Post, who's fighting for the release of teens at the Youth of Vision Academy right here in Jamaica. We'll be right back.